Good morning, everyone. Bonjour. Say it in Albanian. Memrages. I'm practicing my Albanian. Good morning. My name is Laura Madokoro, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of History at Carleton University and one of the co-chairs of this conference. So it's a great pleasure to welcome you this morning.
Good morning, Mirman Jess. Thank you everyone for being here so early. I'm glad to see the room is full. My name is Krenare Recaj, and I am a PhD candidate at Carleton University and the Symposium co-chair. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the dignitaries in the room, MP Vandenbeld, His Excellency Adriatik Kryeziu, and the Consul General Adriatik.
We're going to start with comments from His Excellency, the Ambassador. I do want to acknowledge that the land on which the University of Toronto operates has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit, and today is a meeting place and still the home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. And so we're grateful to gather on this land. And of course, we're visiting from Carleton University, which sits on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people, and it really is an opportunity for us to reflect on past, present, and future as we meet. But I think you will do a formal welcome to the stage.
Yes, so if I can please invite and have everyone give a warm welcome to His Excellency Adriatik Kryeziu, the Ambassador of the Republic of Kosovo to Canada.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Dear hosts, representative of Carleton University, Laura, Krenare, Norman, I see you is here, the Honourable Anita Vandenbeld, Member of Parliament and the Chair of Kosovo-Canada Parliamentary Friendship Group, representative of Canada's government, Ambassador of Albania, distinguished guests, my fellow countrymen, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day on this symposium organized by Carleton University on the 25th anniversary of the arrival of Kosovar Albanians to Canada and Canada's military and diplomatic involvement in Kosovo. Today, as we are gathered here, we mark a common celebration and achievements because Kosovo's liberation is only made possible with the help of our allies, the ones that believed in our right to self-determination, the ones that stood by us in our darkest days and in our brightest. To Canada and to all of you who believed in us back then and continue to work with us as we progress, I want to take a moment to say thank you on behalf of the Republic of Kosovo and its people. Ladies and gentlemen, as we mark the 25th years of freedom and arrival of Kosovo Albanians, refugee to Canada, we commemorate at the same time with a great respect and glory all those who fought, sacrificed and dedicated their lives for us to live free, independent, and respected. We acknowledge the noble sacrifice of Canadian Armed Forces for their contribution and the humanitarian intervention in Kosovo in 1999 as part of NATO for liberating our country, and as well as for their service in Kosovo in the past 25 years as peacekeeping mission in KFOR. Canadian Armed Forces should be proud of their work that ensure peace, democracy, and freedom reigned in Kosovo. The Republic of Kosovo and its people remain entirely grateful to Canada's outstanding support and forever thankful for sheltering over 7,000 refugees in 1999, whom today we are so proud to see them well integrated in Canadian society and the Canadian diversity, and also making a contribution to the development of Canada. I would say, and I always call them Kosovo's best ambassador we have here in Canada, who continue to help their families enrich Canadian culture, invigorate its economy, and strengthen its ties with the Republic of Kosovo. Ladies and gentlemen, for about 25 years of freedom, Kosovo continues its domestic and international consolidation. As one of the youngest democracies in the world, but I can proudly say that Kosovo today has emerged as one of the most vibrant democracies in the region, as a success story and as a peace-loving nation. Kosovo is thriving in an area of unprecedented institutional stability and economic development, with around 5 to 6% average growth in 2023 and 2094, and double foreign direct investment and exports. Whereas, according to the World Bank forecast in 2024, our republic has the highest economic growth in the region. committed to the peace, and despite the current difficulties we are facing in our country as democracy due to the security threats inflicted by Serbia and Russia, we continue working with our Western partners and allies towards our goal to join NATO membership and the European Union. Especially Kosovo's NATO membership is imperative to guarantee our state sovereignty and prevent Russian influence in the region. It is important to stress today that for a long time, Kosovo being a consumer of peace, today we are capable and proud to see our soldiers serving alongside NATO member states and Canadian troops in peacekeeping missions such as in Kuwait and other initiatives abroad. In addition, our people and our country open their hearts and the doors to citizens of Afghanistan and Ukrainian people seeking shelter. And this is not only a reflection who we are as a people, but is a confirmation of our readiness to stand by with our allies and actively contribute to the international community, to the peace and stability. Dear friends, this year, Kosovo and Canada marks another anniversary, 15 years of diplomatic relations. I am deeply pleased to inform you that I see a very steady developments and consolidated partnership between Kosovo and Canada. Fruitful results of our cooperation in the field of economy and development, defense and security, academic exchange, culture, people-to-people ties, and collaboration in the private sectors. The remarkable progress over a decade and a half and the shared values of democracy, human rights, diversity, and inclusion achieved remains a strong foundation of our friendship and mutual respect. While we thank Canada and as we affirm our excellent relations between our countries, Kosovo and its people remain entirely committed to further deepening the bonds of friendship and collaboration with Canada. We pledge to continue to be a strong ally and a close friend of your country. Thank you, each and every one of you, for your attention and for being with us today. God bless Kosovo, God bless Canada, and may our friendship last forever.
Thank you very much to His Excellency for being here with us. It is an honor to have you here, and it is an honor that you came last night as well. And we really appreciate it from the conference committee and everyone in this room. Next, I would like to invite MP Anita Vandenbeld, who's the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Development. And I'd like to say a friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Bienvenue tout le monde. Meehan Jess. It is such a pleasure for me to be here as the chair of the Canada-Kosovo Parliamentary Friendship Group, and particularly to thank Krenare, the Carleton University, University of Toronto, and all of the partners who are making this incredibly important and timely symposium possible. But I'm not just here as the head of the Parliamentary Friendship Group. I'm also here as somebody who lived and worked in Kosovo. In 2007 and 2008, I was with OSCE. I was working as an advisor to the Assembly of Kosovo on how to transition from what was essentially a rubber stamp assembly under UNMIK to a full national parliament after the Declaration of Independence. I was in Pristina on the 17th of February, 2008, on Independence Day. Now, I grew up as the daughter of Dutch immigrants, and my oma talked about the Dutch liberation and the great emotion that I saw in my family when they talked about that after World War II. And I never thought that I would experience something like that myself. But that day in Pristina, and if any of you were there, you know it was a very, very cold, cold winter's day, very loud, but very hopeful. There was a feeling in the air that was a combination of relief, almost disbelief, but incredible optimism, incredible hope. And there's an image that will stay with me forever. And that's the image as I was walking down the street. There was a very old man, and he had wrinkles, deep wrinkles on his face. And he was holding the hand of a very young boy, probably his grandson. And you could see the tears going down his cheeks. And he was looking at this child. And he knew that that little boy was going to grow up in a free and independent country. And I think today, it is even more important to reflect on everything that has happened 25 years ago and until today. Because today we are also in a world where we see a resurgence of authoritarian states. We see a geopolitical reality that is undermining the international rules-based order. We're seeing refugee flows greater than ever before, crisis and conflict. And I think that this is an incredibly important moment to reflect back on the important role of NATO, collective security, and of Canada's role, and particularly the role of the Canadian Armed Forces, and to look at the role that Canada played, that our Canadians on land, sea, and air during that liberation, during that crisis, but also afterwards, and people like me who went as civilian peacekeepers to help to rebuild and to make sure that there were pluralistic, democratic institutions going forward. And now at a time where democracy and pluralism are under threat globally, I think it's even more important to take the lessons of Kosovo and the success stories. But it's also important in another way, because we are also living at a time now where we are seeing more people fleeing crisis, more migration, more refugees, people fleeing persecution and terrible human rights abuses around the world. And at a time when many countries are looking to close their doors, when the insular mentalities are starting to creep in, I think it's even more important for us to look at the success of bringing the Kosovo refugees to Canada. Because in 1999, it's true, when Canadians opened our arms, when we welcomed those people who were fleeing war with sometimes nothing, that was an act of kindness. But in the 25 years since, that kindness has come back to Canada 1,000-fold. And you look at where those Kosovo refugees and their children are today, what they are contributing back to our country, whether it's as doctors, as business owners who are employing hundreds, if not thousands of Canadians, in arts and culture and music, in sport, and also in the Canadian Armed Forces, where you see Kosovo Albanian refugees and their children who are now part of the Canadian Armed Forces, the very forces that liberated Kosovo 25 years ago. And I think this is a great story. And I am so pleased that we're here today so that we can document and tell some of that story, a story that I am incredibly proud to be part of. And I'm looking forward very much to hearing further from the symposium today. Thank you very much. Parliamentary.
Thank you very much, Anita, for those beautiful comments. What a wonderful way to start our day. I'm going to invite Dr. John Meehan to come and formally welcome us to the Monk Center, the Bill Graham Center. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madokoro. My name is John Meehan, Dr. John Meehan. I'm the director of the Bill Graham Center for Contemporary International History. We're located just in the next building up, and we have many of our events here, and we're a proud co-sponsor of this event. Bonjour, good morning, everyone. Mirmanjes. And I work with my colleague, Dr. Jack Cunningham, and we've been part of the planning committee for this event. As some of you may remember, the late Honourable Bill Graham was Foreign Minister of this country and Defense Minister. And he set up the Bill Graham Center to bring together the academics and policymakers to talk about the history of contemporary international relations with a focus on Canada. Canada as a global citizen. Canada making a difference in the world. And it was very dear to his heart, the topic that he often talked about, global citizenship. What does it mean? And to have the center on this campus, Mr. Graham would come in and talk to our students about that. And how moving it was to hear from another advocate of global citizenship last night, the Honourable Lloyd Axworthy, talk about human security and what was accomplished during his time in office. Commitment to peacekeeping, International Criminal Court, banning landmines, controlling child soldiers, refugees, development assistance, human rights abroad and at home, right to protect, and good governance. It's a theme that we continue with our students here on this campus, of not only Canada being a global citizen, but also each one of our students being an informed and engaged global citizen. Today, as this conference marks the 25th anniversary of the Kosovo refugee diaspora, how moving it was to hear all those intertwined narratives last night. The narratives of refugees, the narratives of peacekeepers, the narratives of diplomats, and of course, the organizations and families that sponsored refugees. As Lord Axworthy reminded us last night, immigration is a sacred trust, something that's important to keep in mind now more than ever. He advocated leadership, accountability, and a clear set of values and purpose, something we need amidst the current rise of populism, nationalism, xenophobia, and the many threats to democracy that we experience in our world. By focusing on history, we want to encourage that in our students to even know the history. And many don't know this history of human security that we're talking about in this conference. So I'd like to thank Krenare for bringing these narratives together, for bringing all of us together, to Dr. Madokoro and the rest of the conference planning committee, as we spend the day reflecting on this history, not only to remember a time when Canada was an engaged global citizen, but hopefully to inspire in us the desire to be that powerful and inspiring global citizen in the world today. Thank you very much and have a great conference.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meehan. We're doing some last-minute coordinating because I think we have so many thoughts and reflections.
I just want to acknowledge the presence of Her Excellency, Dr. Artemis Mallow.
Thank you very much for being here. It's an early morning, and so we're very grateful. Thank you. I just want to say a couple of words as co-chair of what we alternatively call a conference or symposium. So we're being very fluid with our language. We had an extraordinary organizing committee, and we would not be here today without Dr. John Meehan, Dr. Jack Canningham, Dr. Norman Hilmer, our colleague at Carleton University, who's just been a source of incredible inspiration and support, Jerry Maffrey from the Canadian Immigration Historical Society. If you want to wave so we can see everyone, Dr. Jan Roska from Pier 21, Arta Tahiraj from no, okay. Arta's over there, thank you. Dr. Leonora Abdullah. And we've also had some amazing last-minute volunteers. So I wanted to thank Emma Awe and Rebecca Friend and all the other colleagues at Carleton who've lent so much support. It does take a village to organize a conference/symposium. I wanted to say a couple of things. As a historian of migration, I've been incredibly moved and touched by the events leading up to the conference and the evening that we shared together last night in terms of the stories and the ideas and the reflections that people have been offering. And Krenare yesterday talked about the importance of making sure that people's stories are included in larger narratives. And I was really struck last night, not only by the capacity for inclusion, but the capacity to hear different narratives, hear different stories, and actually change the kinds of histories and received knowledge that we work with in our contemporary moment, right? So this is not just an opportunity to make sure that everyone is included, but to actually reflect deeply and think about what could be told differently, what could we do differently, especially as our speakers this morning have highlighted some of the contemporary challenges. And I don't know how many of you saw the Zeddy teddy bear that was floating around at the evening gala. Pier 21 kindly brought an official Zeddy for us to put on display. And by the end of the evening, there were 3. And I thought, where did all these Zeddys come from? And it was a perfect metaphor for the official narrative and then all the other narratives that are out there. So I'm really looking forward to today. I also wanted to underscore one of the themes from yesterday's discussions, which was the love of homeland and the possibility of having love for more than one homeland. And it has been so extraordinary to hear about the love of Kosovo, to hear about people's experiences in Canada. And I think we'll hear more of that today. But I wanted to especially acknowledge the presence of community associations and representatives who have done so much, not only to speak about your experiences in Canada, but to speak about your love of Kosovo, and we're all very grateful to you for that and for the support that you have brought to the conference as well.
Thank you to my co-chair, Dr. Madokoro, and my supervisor for all the support she has shown in this long year process of having this happen. So an important thing to me while planning this conference was to acknowledge that the story of Canada and Kosovo does not end in 1999, and neither does the story of Kosovars who sought refuge here. Many chose to return to Kosovo following its liberations, and others built lives here. And in the 25 years since, the paths have often intertwined, with Kosovars moving back and forth between their two homes, reflecting the complex and fluid reality of migration. For those who returned, the challenges of rebuilding post-war were profound, and for those who stayed in Canada, the process of integrating into a new culture while holding true to their identity were just as significant. Kosovar refugees who came to Canada in 1999 have not only significantly enlarged, but also strengthened the Albanian diaspora in Canada. The government of Kosovo's relationship with Kosovo, the government of Canada's relationship with Kosovo has transformed from one of primarily humanitarian concern to one of mutual interest and partnership in the present. The federal government, as we've heard, recognized Kosovo's independence in 2008 and established diplomatic relations shortly after. The Canada-Kosovo Parliamentary Friendship Group, which includes members of parliament across party lines, actively fosters bilateral relations. While the topic of the panels in the symposium do not extend past the immediate aftermath of 1999, the makeup of this symposium committee and the organizations involved in sponsoring the conference is a testament to the continued relations and the evolving story. It is our sincere hope that the symposium serves not as a conclusion, but as a beginning, a starting point for deeper reflection, greater discussion, and renewed attention to the 25 years of shared history, shared present, and shared future between Canada and Kosovo. When organizing this conference, I had 5 goals. I wanted to reunite people. And I think I saw last night that happened. I wanted to reunite all of the people who were involved and give them the chance to talk to each other, because I've had this chance as a PhD candidate who interviews people involved in 1999, and it has been so fulfilling for me. I wanted to give other people this chance. I wanted to commemorate the events of 1999. I wanted to stand in remembrance of them, commemorate them with honor and respect and dignity. But I also wanted to celebrate. I wanted to celebrate the achievements of Kosovar Albanians themselves, of Albanians from Macedonia, from Montenegro, from Albania, from Shqipëria, who supported the Kosovar Albanians themselves and are united with the Kosovar Albanians. And I wanted to celebrate the Canadian contributions. The 4th thing I wanted to do was to educate. We had members of the public, and I hope that everyone here who was involved learned something themselves. And I know I definitely learned a lot last night too. So the 4th pillar was to educate. And finally, the most nerve-wracking thing I wanted to do was to open discussion. So last night it was speakers, and we had a question and answer with Dr. Lloyd Axworthy, but today we will have more time to discuss with each other. And sometimes discussions are difficult, but oftentimes they are fruitful. And this is an academic conference, so that was my last goal of the conference. And we might have differing opinions and different things will come up, but I think part of these 5 goals, a discussion moves us forward, both as academics, as public, as Kosovo, and as Canada. Thank you very much for being here.